Hey guys, it's Heather. I just wanted to share the next part of my story. Um, so if you like these, please share and subscribe. But anyways, so the next part of my story. So I started studying the Bible a lot, and I got into what I would consider a righteous bubble for about 3 years. That righteous bubble was me not fully understanding the grace of God. It was me still trying to earn my way to God. I had said in one of the first videos that was always a struggle for me in the last 10 years. I'm finally coming to freedom with truly understanding and pulling out that seed. But anyways, so during my righteous bubble, I was serving in the church. I was going to Christian events. I had gone to a couple things for World Vision. They were volunteering, and at World Vision, for anybody that doesn't know, it's about supporting children in other countries. So I had gone to that. I was doing all kinds of the church functions. I was trying to serve wherever I possibly could. I was trying to read my Bible, do as many devotionals as I could. I was going to a Bible study, but I was exhausting myself. And when I would miss a day of reading my Bible, I would feel guilty. And it was hindering my relationship with God. And for 3 years, I spent a lot of time learning, and it was an amazing experience. It really was. I learned so much about the Lord. I learned how to trust Him. I saw how He was changing my life. My thought patterns were changing. The way that I saw other people was changing. However, the more that I was trying to be good for God, and the more that I felt like I was doing for God, the more that I also had this judgment, and I started to feel like I was self-righteous, and that people that weren't doing those things, that there was something wrong, and why weren't they? And then I was getting pushy, and I was trying to push Jesus on people, and that is not a good way to get people to love Jesus at all. And what God taught me during that season was that I also got upset if somebody said something about Him. And He taught me that it was His job to call people, that people's relationships with Him are in different stages, and that as we grow, we learn these different things, and that as we go through these different stages, we also are growing in faith, and we're also learning to suffer differently. We're learning to go through our challenges. We're learning how to have perseverance and patience. We're learning what true love means and what unconditional love means. But it was beautiful. I got to spend so much quality time with God during that. And I also learned a lot about the knowledge of God. And so now I had come to God, and I had began my journey with God. And now God was filling me with knowledge. He was putting His word inside of me. He was filling my heart with word. And little did I know that I was going to need a lot of that word in my next season. But God was so faithful. I lived in that new house that I had just bought. Everything was going good. I had a good job. I was able to take my son to school and pick him up every day. At that time, I was getting ready to get married. And that was another thing that I had prayed about before. I was so excited. God was fulfilling so many of these wonderful things that I had asked for, and so quickly too. But I just needed to have faith in Him, and I was just watching how my life was transforming. But I also, in that season, as I was praying, I was starting to get uncomfortable in where I was at. And the uncomfortability came from that the closer that I got to God, the more I wanted for my life. I read the stories in the Bible about these people having this faith of walking into these places, like Daniel with the lions, or Joshua fighting against Ai and making the sun stand still. I mean, that is awesome. Or Elisha changing the rivers and purifying them with salt. Like, who would have thought that? I mean, just these amazing adventures. And as I read about these adventures that God had these people on, I wanted that kind of life. And so the more that I was getting to know God, the bigger my prayers were getting also. Somebody had once told me that my God is as big as my prayers are. And so I was like, okay, I'm getting to know who God is, and he's fulfilling these amazing things that I'm praying about. So I'm just going to keep praying bigger. And so I started to pray really big things. I continued to pray about helping 2 million people. I prayed about helping the city, not just like in a small amount, but just big amounts. Why not? Why not pray for God to send out workers all over the place? And why not pray for big adventures for people and peace and love to just circulate? I mean, that's beautiful. So I kept praying, and God just kept filling me. But I also, in that season, I didn't really have a lot of friends. I spent a lot of time by myself, and again, a lot of time with God. And that was, it was kind of a lonely season, but I wouldn't take that season back for anything, because I got to know God on a very deep level. And I had a lot of morning time and evening time with him. At that time, my husband worked third shift, so when he left for work, I had hours before I had to go to bed. And so that was my time with God and with Jesus, and to fill myself. And but it also caused problems with other people. Like I said, I had judgments, and so these were things that God was going to have to clear out. There was also wounds that were starting to build up from all the prior years of not expressing my emotions correctly, or learning about new things inside of me, or remembering sins that I had committed that I needed to make amends for. And so I'm going to end there, because the next season of my life was a little bit more challenging, and that is something all on its own. But God led me through that next season incredibly. Talk about God fighting for you. And I just want to say that no matter what you're going through or whatever it is, God will fill you with knowledge, and he will give you the grace and the mercy and whatever it is that you need in whatever season. And I love how some people say, you're either getting ready to go into a storm, you're just coming out of one, or you're sitting right smack dab in the middle of one. But the best place to be is just harboring in God's boat, because when God's in control, he's got the waves and the wind, and all you got to do is just relax. He's got you. And so I just want to